Céir ydw I ac rydw i'n 20 oed. Dwi'n mynd i Brifysgol Bristol ac yn gwneud economeg. Sorry, my Welsh isn't very good, but my name's Kieran and I'm 20 years old and I study economics at the University of Bristol. 4 years ago, I was sat exactly where you're sitting now at the same conference by the Further Maths programme at Bangor University. During my time at Ysgol John Brights and Ysgol Arius, maths was always my strongest subject, but I was also interested in politics, business, psychology, why people make certain decisions, and the whole world around me. I chose to study economics because the subject is all about using analytical skills, logic, maths to explain all these things. Studying economics gives you skills to understand why businesses, politicians, or any individual makes a decision, as well as explaining phenomenon that happens like unemployment, inequality, growth, and debates around these topics, as well as things you wouldn't expect like why fish stocks become depleted. Studying economics gives you a perfect broad skill set to work in almost any sector and in lots of different jobs. It combines both analytical and mathematical skills with the ability to convey these ideas in essays and to a general audience. That's why it's one of the highest paying degrees that also doesn't limit your career opportunities. In the future, this summer, I hope to work at a green economic consulting firm that advises governments, businesses and organisations on green related strategies or policies, like for example, how a company will meet their carbon neutral targets. However, I have friends that also plan to work in investment banking after university and make lots of money, as well as lots of other career opportunities like working for government agencies like the Bank of England or the UN. I made the decision to reach out to Welsh students and people like you with the help of Discovery Economics because I noticed that not many people from Wales study economics and not many schools offer economics A-level. So if I was to give you some advice, it would be don't limit yourself and think you can't study a subject like economics at university if you haven't studied it before. And I also would like to tell you that I know it can be incredibly daunting and stressful when you're your age to think, oh, I have to make all these important decisions and decide my life and career and what to do. But you really shouldn't have to worry that much because people change careers throughout their life. And if you study something like economics or maths, it gives you a really good skill set, which allows you to go into lots of different careers.
Hi, I'm Sam Grofman, and I'm the campaign manager at Discover Economics, a campaign led by the Royal Economic Society. First of all, I'd like to thank Kieran for giving that great introduction and for telling his journey from where you are today to now studying economics at Bristol University. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about our campaign and what you can do with this exciting subject. So, when we think about economics, this is maybe the kind of picture that comes into your mind. This is a picture drawn by a sixth form student who studies economics, also a very talented art student, as you can see. So we maybe think about that white male working in the finance industry and probably heavily motivated by finance. This is what we want to change. This is why Discover Economics exists, because there is so much more to the subject than this, and we want to change those perceptions. So our campaign has 3 clear aims. We want to broaden the appeal of economics to potential students just like yourselves. We want to change perceptions of what the subject is and what economists are like. And we want to attract more students from underrepresented groups, so females, students from state schools, people from ethnic minorities. Now, there is a big problem in economics. Lots of you now will probably be thinking, well, it's not offered in my school, it's not at my sixth form, my college, I can't do it, so maybe I can't do it at university, and that is a big problem. There's also a big split. So 1 in 6 boys takes economics at A-level. But when we think of girls, it's only 1 in 17. So there's a huge problem there. State schools and black students are massively underrepresented amongst economics undergraduates. And when we look at those undergraduates, under 30% of them are females. So there's a huge lack of diversity amongst economics students. And when we think about this geographically, there is an underrepresentation of Welsh young people going on to study economics as well. So a huge problem in diversity, but across the geography and locations in the UK. This lack of diversity creates problems because economists can generally occupy key policy roles, and we want these people to reflect the society that they're helping to shape. So, economics is all about creating change. Economics gives you kind of a collection of tools and a way of thinking to address a host of problems in society. It's so much more than maybe working in finance in London. So what kind of things might you be tackling? Well, think about the things you read about and you see on the news every single day. That is economics. But to create positive change, you need that economic skill set. So social and economic networks, how do people, firms, countries interact with each other? And what's the impact on society? Populism, austerity, was that the cause of Brexit? Thinking of the world that we live in now, this COVID-19 issue that we have, what's the economic cost of going into lockdown, the resource allocation, the impact on lost schooling? And then more recently, we've been looking at COP26. So how can we design more environmentally friendly policies? All these things are massive issues in today's society and issues you cannot avoid. But to tackle them, economics is at the heart of all of this. So naturally, you're probably all sat there thinking, well, my next steps, I'm going to go to university. And it's probably a matter of, well, which course and which university? But in economics, there are now exciting apprenticeship opportunities. So if you're thinking of the traditional pathway of university, there's a variety of different ways you can study economics. You can study it straight as a subject, and there are BA and BSc versions. So BSc, naturally, you're doing a bit more of the mathematical side, so look at the course detail. But then you can combine it with finance, politics, international development, business, philosophy and accounting. So there's lots of different ways that you can study the subject, so do read up on it. Then more recently, there's been a really exciting development with the Government Economics Service, and they've developed the first economics apprenticeship. This is a level 6 apprenticeship, so just the same as kind of doing your university studies. It's associated with University of Kent, so that's who you get the degree from. But whilst doing your studies, you actually get real world experience for 4 years working in the civil service. And this can be across, any of the public sector departments and across the UK. So a really exciting development where you can get that nice balance of learning and working. But really importantly, for both routes, you do not need to have studied economics at A level. So that's really important. If you're sat there now thinking, I've not done it, it's not for me, do not panic. The door is still open. Now, the careers that you can go on to, right? We saw that picture at the start. You might be thinking, oh, well, it's working in London, in Canary Wharf, in the finance sector. Well, actually, these are the kind of sectors you can be going into. You can see public sector and health are the biggest, tech, science, media. There's a whole variety of sectors you can work in. All sectors will demand economists. Now, if we look at the top employers, this research was done in 2019, looked at all the job adverts across 2019 that asked for economists. And you can see that NHS was the top employer, something you might not have thought about. We often think of the front-facing roles in organisations, the doctors, the nurses, but economists are key to the NHS. But then we've got other large organisations, Amazon, Sky, pharmaceutical companies like Bayer, GlaxoSmithKline. There's a whole variety of big name employers that want your skill set. Now, to learn a little bit more, go to the Discover Economics website and you'll get insights from people that are studying the subject now, professionals that are using it, You can listen to our podcast, which is available on Spotify and Apple. And we've got some top guests on there. Andy Haldane, Lizzie Burden from Bloomberg, Will Page, who used to be the economist at Spotify, Dame Sharon White from John Lewis, and so many more. So do listen to them and get some top tips. And for now, follow us on social media. Get involved in the conversation, hear from others, and put your questions to us on TikTok so we can answer them, because you can guarantee if you are thinking about a question, many more people will be thinking the same question too. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the conference, and do keep that door open to economics. Your skill set is definitely required in economics, and you can create some very exciting change in our country. Thank you.